Hi, my name's Sharon. Welcome to my kitchen. Mostly it's my kitchen. My husband shares it with me, and we are going today make a healthy version of potato chips. It's my latest addiction, kale chips. And so for now, you see this beautiful bush. This is what you will need to start is curly kale, because it is so flexible, but it's sturdy, and we are going to massage it. And you'll need some olive oil, maybe some coconut oil, ground garlic, lemon, Parmesan cheese. And so first we're going to fill the sink with some water, put the kale in, just quickly rinse it, and remember this is organic. It's important that your kale is organic. And some people will use an extractor or a spinner to dry their kale, but what I'm going to do is put it in a towel, loose it not so tightly together, take the edges, and then I'm just going to give it a shake, and that kind of shakes the water off. And some people just wrap it in a towel, but I find this step speeds it up, and then it's more dry ready. Then kind of place it out like this, and take your towel and then wrap it up. That's already had some water shaking off. And so I've got these all in a row ready to dry while I'm doing the next step, which is, hi, come on this way. We have to turn your oven on. And you have a choice of either doing it at 200, which will act more as dehydrating. Still not as good because it has to be at 105 in order to keep all the nutrients. We're going to do a quick version as more like 350. So I'm turning it on to 350, and then I'll just quickly show you what else you will need is your parchment paper. And I use the unbleached version. And I take about 3 or 4 trays and just prepare them ahead of time and line the trays with the parchment paper. And there's a reason for this, and I'll explain that as we go along. See you in a while. Hi, we're back. And just to let you know, it's so important, this is a crucial step, that your kale is virtually bone dry, because if it isn't, what's going to happen when you bake it, it's only going to steam itself. So sometimes if you do have a spinner, that's good too, but mine's broken, so I did it the towel way, which is, it takes a little bit longer. So if you open up your, I don't know if you can see this, but if you open up your kale and it still has water on the leaves, make sure you dry that out. I don't know if it's visible, but that's may not show. So you can just fan it or just leave it open. Break it in pieces and let it air dry a little bit. Just don't let it get too warm or it'll start to wilt. Now there's many different ways that people will do their kale. Some will do it about this size, cut it in little pieces. Some people will even leave the back stem on. They like the taste of it. I'm going to do it both ways. And also, some people will even take just this whole end and take it off as one whole piece and do it this way. We're going to try that too. And so I will show you how, as you're watching this, how to take off the back of the rib. Some people just go in and cut. I take it, fold it this way, take the big side, the big end, and then I just start to pull the rib away, hold both sides together, and I just pull the rib away. It's fairly easy to do. And then you have your curly leaves, and then I just break it off in little pieces, not too small because they do shrink quite a bit. Hi, we're back, and it's time to massage the kale now. This is good fun, and you can even get your kids involved. They love this, or they love the taste afterwards. If the kale is still a little bit wet, it's already being cut, just lay it on the table and kind of fluff it up a bit just to get the extra moisture out. Now we're going to take a handful put it in the bowl and move this over to the side. Whoops, sorry little guy. And we're going to take about a tablespoon of olive oil. Just drizzle it over. And you start to massage. And this kale, this curly kale, is so forgiving. It feels good because you actually feel like you're kneading bread or something. And it kind of breaks down the kale a bit. See, I've put a little bit too much oil. You can see that it's very oily. So then just keep adding a little bit more in and mix it in. And then we're going to squeeze a little bit of lemon juice in. Don't want your pips. A little bit of garlic salt. Squeeze it a little bit more. Massage it. I'm using a pizza tray because I'm using a lot of kale with the olive oil. Now you place them out individually to the best of your ability. You don't want them really overlapping or they'll bake together. You just kind of spread them out. This is so delicious. I'm going to save this big one for another batch. I don't usually do them that big, but I've seen them done and I want to give it a try too. Going to grate a little bit more. Put ginger on here if you want. Any kind of favorite spices that would go good with kale. Spray a little bit more lemon juice. A little bit more tart. And Celtic salt, because it's still, I wouldn't use ordinary table salt, but some sea salt. I don't go too much with the salt factor because I find it tastes salty enough on its own, especially when I grate the Parmesan cheese on it afterwards. I like making different batches with different flavors, so there's a little bit of pepper here too. We're now going to place this in the oven and check on it. It should only take about 15 minutes, but keep checking it because if those edges turn brown, you won't like it. The kids won't like it. You won't like it. Next, you can actually think about different ideas of what would you like to have with kale. I also like to mix it with coconut oil, gives it a totally different flavor, and coconut oil is so good for you, and it depends on what quality of coconut oil that you use, and it just melts in your hand. And so when you mix that in with your kale, you're going to get a coconut flavor if you use the coconut that actually smells like and tastes like coconut. See you in a minute. Hi, we're back, and let's see how they look. I think I just caught these in time. If you want to come closer, you can see around the edges. That's getting kind of brown. And that's the brown part we're talking about. That can taste kind of bitter. But listen to this. That's what they'll sound like. That one's crunchy. That one is too. Great. So then I spread these out a little bit more. And put them back in for a little while longer. Now I've got 2 batches on the go. And what's really cool with this, and we'll do this experiment, I've got a pot of soup on the stove here. And it's chicken soup with carrots and zucchini and celery. It's and potato, and it's very good. But let's try putting one of these crunchy. Like, okay, it's falling apart. Put it back into the soup. And don't crunch it, just let it sit there. And we'll take a look at what happens to it. So beautiful. Well, the first batch didn't get past go. It got eaten up immediately. That's how good they are. So I'm doing batch number 2, only this time I did make an error by saying add garlic salt. It's not. It's ground garlic. And use a good quality one. It's important. So I'm going to put way more garlic on this one. And then I'm going to add a lot more lemon. I'm really squeezing that lemon on. This is just an experiment. I have a few people that are willing to do the taste test. And a little bit less Parmesan, because the Parmesan does take a little bit time to cook. And of course it'll start to melt. So I'm doing that one, and I'm not going to put salt on this one because some people find salt just a little bit too salty. So here we go. So far the consensus is we both prefer the lemon and the pepper and salt without the cinnamon. The cinnamon's good, but we still prefer the original one we're talking about. And the ribs in are good too, but they take a little bit longer and they're a bit more juicy. So this is another experiment that we're going to have, and it's a little bit of coconut oil. Just enough to massage into your skin. Just massage that in. And this is a choice of someone in the household who wants pepper and a little bit of salt. And his taste bud of cayenne. So, not sure how this is going to turn out, so we'll just do a little bit of that. Ooh, that might be a lot of cayenne.
Don't rub your eyes.
No plans in that. I might sneeze, so let's please shut it off. Thank you. Woo. I'm serious.
Yeah.
This is it in a nutshell. Kale chips, and the many things that can be done with it. Not only is it nutritious, heck with that, they're just really good. So we started off with making kale chips in the oven. We tried 3 different flavors, and one was with what my husband really liked was also the cayenne. It's not my favorite, but he likes that, and so we're back to our favorite is still the lemon, pepper, salt, Parmesan cheese, lemon juice, and ground garlic. And also, if you have too much, you can also use it in your soup. It's amazing. It's lovely. And leftovers that dry at the bottom can be just ground in with the sesame seeds just by hand to make topping for your popcorn. And also what I'm going to do is thank my neighbor who lent me a lemon that I didn't have for today, and just wrap it right in the paper that it came out of the oven with. It's beautiful, and I'm just going to pass that to her right now. Have a great day, and thank you for joining me in my kitchen.